So when we say loading files in a native format, this is a file that would take a lot of manipulation to fix the issues. And it's going to be the sample that we use today. So in this case, we have issues that exist in multiple spots, all these red boxes, from 5 header rows, which would just be ignored, or five blank rows that we want to ignore. And then we want to get to our header row. We've got both invoices and credit memos mixed in here we need to create. We've got customers that we need to add or update. We have currencies that are in the wrong format. They don't resemble the NetSuite AUD or USD or whatever setup you've got on your currency. There's 2 different date formats. There's US and Australian date formats in here. It actually has a section at the bottom for new items that need to be created. None of these items exist in the system, and it's a mix of both inventory and non-inventory items that need to be loaded. And then it has no part number reference inside NetSuite or external or internal ID for the customer. So there's lots of problems here. Oh, and there's even a blank line at the bottom called end of file. Now, I've seen this typically a lot in the past with when I've been doing cutovers from other systems or integrating to other financial packages that will split out like a card record as opposed to a native CSV file. So the data's all there, but it's in a messy format. So the ability to pass through this and set it up easily so that it will load each one of these becomes really powerful. So it supports additional records. This is another important part to the loader. So the standard NetSuite CSV file is excellent. It hits a lot of the records. It's most of the ones that we all want as NetSuite admins and consultants. We add some additional fields that additional records, that you can load to, including all of the ones named here. Essentially, all of the scriptable records that are available in NetSuite are able to be CSV loaded to, or potentially to. There are some exceptions to it where NetSuite is very careful and selective, making sure that we keep data integrity good. But generally, you'll see a little bit over double the amount of records that can be loaded. So the example that we're going to use today is taken from a real life customer. This has been made anonymous, the file, obviously. It's the one that we were looking at before, a very messy file. Where we've got a single file that we want to have multiple data types created, and we needed to load it every 15 minutes. So they wanted the data throughout the day. They wanted everything to create throughout the day, but it didn't need to be real time. If it needed to be real time, we would have built an integration or used one of the integration solutions that are out there. It had to apply across 65 subsidiaries because it was actually touching more than one system. It wasn't just one system sending to us. It was from lots of different companies that were kind of joined together, but they were using the same platform historically. And then they wanted it automated, and they wanted it to do the thing on the right-hand side, the structure on the right-hand side. So they wanted the file sent in by SFTP where they had that capacity, so it was nice and secure. And they had files also sent in via email, and they were auto-loaded. So they didn't actually manually load anything, but that could have been done. The first thing it would do is it would add either new customers or inventory and non-inventory items. That could be done in any sequence. My example today is a little bit different to this sequence. I'm doing the items first, and then it added new invoices, and then it added new credit memos. So from that file, it was doing 5 different data types all in one, but that file, as we know, was really, really messy because it had all those holes and all those problems with it. So let's go and run this. Remember, if it was on a schedule, it'd do this automatically. Otherwise, I can just process manually. So I'm going to process this top one. It says, do you want to process it? I'm going to go yes. So as I go back to my items, you can see it's already created the first 4. And if I go to my file cabinet and refresh this, you'll see it's dropped out of the first one into the second one. So now it's looking for the hardware items, and it's going to go and create those. So it's just created the 2 hardware items. So that means it's gone through to customers. It's created my 2 customers in picked up the correct currencies. So ignored everything, put all the email addresses in there. And now it's trying to process the invoices from that one file. And it's also created my credit memo as well. So if I go into here and I look at my credit memo, you can see it's created the credit memo. When I look at my items, you can see that the items create with all of the details that I set in the file. On my purchasing, that's the special field that I'm using for all my lookups. I'm not using any IDs for it. It's setting all my accounting as per my standards, or my preferences. It's setting all my revenue recognition for my customers. I now have 2 John Smiths. You can see I've now got 2 John Smiths, 293 and 294. This customer here is 294. Right, John Smith, the one I loaded today, and he's got all his relevant